Now, when we've been looking at parts, we've been creating sketches and then extruding them. This time I'm going to look at the bearing, which is a round part. Now, if I wanted to say model like a washer, in my terminology that's a simple round part, so in which case I draw a circle, extrude it and then put a hole through the middle of it. But this shape's a little bit more complex. It's a complex round part. So we're actually going to do this with a feature called revolve. And we just have to draw this slightly differently. So if you look on the drawing, you'll see that there's a section line that runs through the middle of the part on the left hand side, and you've got that view AA shown on the right hand side. What we're going to draw is the top bit of the section, the bit with the 45-degree lines on it. We're just going to draw that shape. And this time it is going to be a little bit more complex because we're creating a slightly more complex shape, but we're not going to do all the chamfers first. So let's get going. So once again, create a sketch, XY plane. Now this time we're going to create a line. I'm going to draw it from the center horizontally out to the right hand side. Okay, and then I'll just right click and hit OK. I'm going to select the line, right click, and then turn it into a center line. So up here is a toggle. So I click it once, it's a center line. I right click, tick it again, it'll go back to normal. And you can do the same for construction lines. It's just a toggle. You just keep clicking, it just toggles backwards and forwards between normal, construction, or center line. And we want a center line because we can use this later on. Now, this time, once again, we are going to create a rectangle, center rectangle, and we're going to make sure that the center of our rectangle is above this point here. Now it will move, so what we're going to use is this vertical command to click on this center of the rectangle and in the center of the whole part, and there it goes. So now if I move these edges, the center points are always going to stay here. So again, we're just using that center point once more. Okay, so I'm not worried about the sizes just yet. So next thing I'm going to do is create a circle, and again you see it's come up midpoint this time, so I'm okay with that. So I'm going to click and I'm going to draw a circle. Now as long as I don't click on that center point, I'm okay. So there we go. So now you can see I've got the basic shape. So I can trim away the parts that I don't need. And you see down here it's broken one of the constraints. So the best way to work out what it actually did is to pull the part around and see what actually broke. And in this case, I think it just broke the length of the line, which is okay. So anyway, let's carry on. So the reason it hasn't gone fully black yet is because of the sizes. So let's start putting them on. Now, this is where it gets a bit clever. So if I want to do a dimension, and then we know that this distance here is 20 millimeters. Okay, so it's gone inside, so I just need to drag these back the other way, like so. And I'm just going to pull it down. There we go. So you can see that that's what's going on here. Is this isn't in line with our center point anymore. That's one of the things that broke. So let's fix that. So vertical, horizontal, click on the center point, click on the center point of the part, and over they go. Right, so let's put the radius dimension, this radius, which is 6. Okay, now where it gets clever is that I know the distance between here when it gets revolved is going to be actually going to be a diameter. So if I click on this line and I click on the center line, not the point, not the midpoint or the end, but click on the line, You see, because it's a centre line, we only use them where there are circles, so automatically it puts the diameter symbol up. So that one in the middle is 30. I'm going to do the same. I can do it the other way. I can go centre line outside, so it knows it's going to be a diameter, and go 50. And now you can see that everything's gone black. It's fully constrained. So let's just go back to this view. So when I hit revolve, this time it's going to look for one closed profile, which you can see here because it's already shaded it in, and a centre line. If it can find those automatically, it will automatically do a revolve. If it can't detect them, I mean, if it didn't detect this line as a centre line, like you didn't change it, you could select it, or you could use like the Z axis that runs through the middle. Okay, so there's a few different ways to do it. So there we go, our first revolve, and all we're left with now is there's some chamfers on the outside, which are 2mm, and there are chamfers on the inside, which are 1mm. And then we've finished our part. Let's just put it back in the middle. Don't forget to save it and give it a proper name. And what you've done now is run through the basic commands which you'll use all the time when you're creating most shapes. That's why they're up there on the left hand end. We use these ones all the time.